Hello, any joiners? I'm very early on joining my webinar. In fact, my webinar is a little bit off. So we will wait to see you. I don't think anybody is viewing at the moment. We might get to see a little bit more later on. But it's on LinkedIn, so we never know. We never know. So we've got 5 minutes, 6 minutes to go. So it's difficult to see all the bits and pieces that are coming through. Let me get ready, because I know Alex said he's going to come through and tell me if anything's going. Okay, that says it's in prelude. Okay, so well, that's interesting. I wonder if that's going to have a problem. Let's see what it says for that. Maybe that's it. Could be a problem. So let's have a look. That could be a problem. So you can't see this at all, Alex. So that's a little bit of an issue. So we have that for your LinkedIn thing. Hopefully it'll go in live at you were able to join. So Alex, you can see. Oh, that's nice. So you should be able to do that. Alex, if you can, if we got some people with some problems on that, if you could write in the chat for me how people do that, we can delete your comments from LinkedIn later on. It doesn't exist the session, as you won't be able to get back here. Don't exit the session. Okay. So hopefully that's it. We should get some people starting to come on. If anybody has joined me in the early world, I think we're 5 minutes early. And the reason we're 5 minutes early is this thing's called LinkedIn Live. And we should call it LinkedIn Sometimes Live and LinkedIn Sometimes Works. We've had a few problems with this kind of connection between StreamYard and LinkedIn, which has been a bit of a bother. But generally, it should be okay. So it normally works. If you get a chance, if you have signed in, just to go through and put it into the right-hand corner and tell me it's all working. So there should be a little chat thing. So I've got from Alex it's working. But anyone else joining us, that would be helpful as we go through. So we've got 4 minutes to start. Maybe I'm a little bit early. It's working fine now. So it looks like you're able to jump in and out. Hopefully it should be good. And yeah, we should all feel all right. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I shall clear my throat. I shan't pick my nose. We shall try hardest to do this. And as I mentioned all the time, there's a bit of a difficulty, which is if I stop talking and pause, there's a little bit of a problem that you don't know if it's working or not. So I have to keep talking, which some of you say is fine. It normally does. And, you know, obviously it's January, the 12th of January. The 12th of January, eh? The first week back for many of us. Quite hard work. Quite a lot of bits and pieces. Never has a weekend been needed more than the one after 2 weeks off. Yeah. Quite like sitting there eating mince pies. That was a lot easier. Not doing any work, sitting on a sofa. So normally around this time, we get 1 or 2 people starting to join. If you do join, I have a 15-second delay. You know, they're even trying to censor me now on this, just in case I swear. But there's a 15-second delay. I think that's just a buffering thing that they put in place for some of these things. If you can hear me and you have joined, it'd be lovely if you could say hello in the chat. Loud and clear is always what we're trying to hear. $358, $258. Where are we at? There we go. We're all getting there. Shame. That's the danger of starting live. God, you know, it's just that now you get to, start to do a webinar and you get dry throat. So I had a little bit of COVID before Christmas. Maybe got it now. Maybe got it again. Who knows? Let's have a drink. Gin. Right. We're hitting the magical point. We've got 1 minute to go. Filling the time. And next on Radio 4. There we go. Waiting 1 minute. 1 minute. I think we had 55 registered people on this, so hopefully we'll be starting to do that. 58 registered attendees at the moment, so it'd be great So I think it says starting soon. Some of you might be able to join on it. So hopefully it has worked. Otherwise, we'll go into crisis mode, as we often do on these circumstances, to start to say we're in. Oh, it does say that we're actually in, and I should be able to join it from my phone. Let's hope that we get some people in. If anybody has joined, and they're too bold enough to write something in the comments to say that you can hear me, that would be magical. So nothing quite yet. So, loud and clear from Robert King. Perfect. Thank you very much. That's good. You sort of get a bit nervous with these things because of the technology that we have to deploy nowadays. But isn't it lovely? Across the world. Rob's up early as well. It's very nice. And it was actually meant to be 3:30, but the person who set it up for me making it 3 o'clock. But that's okay. We're going to go with 3. It's all good. Brilliant. If you can hear me, that's all good. Right. Well, it is 3 o'clock in the United Kingdom, and it's grey and miserable and cold. And it's been the first week back for most of us. So a little bit hard work this week, doing a whole week after spending my time eating mince pies sat on my sofa. So here are the things that we've got for a normal. Normally, I'd have someone else on this with me who's co-piloting, who can read the messages and so on. Unfortunately, I dragged that person over to have a week of meetings with me, and then now on an aeroplane back to the United States. So Scott's not joining us, and a bunch of other people are still off today or flying back from meetings we had earlier this week. So it's me on my own. And there is a 15-second delay. There's a 15-second delay when we do these webinars to ensure, I don't know, there's no one to stop me swearing, but we'll just use common decency and I'll try and behave. But there's a 15-second. Some of the comments as they come through live, I'm not going to be able to see them until the end. If I definitely disappear or something like that, I have Alex who's going to, call me or walk into the room and let me know it's gone wrong. But let's start. We're in. Why don't you have the order? So I put some stuff around this, and this is a really big part of what we like to do at Guido, and it's something I've been really interested in all of my career as a salesperson, which is basically the psychology of what is trying to happen and what are my controls that I can have to actually change what the customer is thinking about and make sure I try and win that deal, or leave that deal and go and find other ones to work on. So that's what we're going to look at today. And we're going to look at something very, very simple that you can work with all the time. It's just a little tick list of things that we can look for. And there are further extensions to it as you need to. We have courses, or there are people that have written books on this thing and so on. But we're going to look at why you don't have the order. So this is coming from my company, Guido Scientific. There are 7 of us. There's 3 senior partners, business development people, applications people. So we do a lot of work with companies looking to launch, strengthen, or accelerate what they're doing ready for sale. So we work with lots of different companies on lots of different things. Personally, I do business development and I do some work in sales. And we have people that work on product management, voice of customer, or operational control things. So we've got lots of different skills that we do. Anyway, that's my advert. We're done. Sales is a science, and science has rules. And this is really important. You will have met people, you go, oh, their sales is art. They could sell, anything to anyone, and they're charming and amazing and everything else. But sales is a science because people buy in a particular way. And if people buy in a particular way, we've noticed the buyer journey. We talked about it in other webinars. Because of the fact we buy in particular ways, lots of sales always look the same, don't they? They sort of generally, you could say, oh no, they're all different, but okay, there's always somebody buys it. There's always a decision. There's always a bit. There's some form of demonstration of capability. They all look the same. And the brilliant thing is, because it's a science, and you can be sales by art and arty if you want, but because it's a science, you can break it down and look at the rules that are making it to try and work out what's going wrong and try and increase the number of sales you're making. So how can you increase sales? Well, really, salespeople can increase revenue in 3 ways, right? There's find more deals, swing the bat more times, right? It's pretty straightforward. You're going to go out, you're going to farm, you're going to prospect, you're going to do business development. You're going to find more leads, or you're going to get marketing somehow magically to give you more decent forms off the website. Or you can win more of the deals you're in. That's your other choice. You can create that. And the final way, which is a little bit harder, is you can increase the value of the deals. You can add on, you can create additional things, you can increase your ASP. And that's normally, yeah, that's salespeople really good at doing the add-ons and the services and so on. The business will do that again, and they can control pricing, but you can do a little bit about that. Most sales training that exists nowadays is orientated around needs. If we look at things like needs development, working on pains, manipulating people, all of those lovely things. But really, what we're going to look at today is just basically how do we focus on winning more in the deals we're in without having to do all this manipulation of needs, which you can do if you want. It's nothing to do with this. So everything today is about focusing on understanding the deal and understanding what's missing and why it's stuck or why it's not in. Now, there's a problem when we progress deals, which is we need information. And we need information. We need the right information. We don't want to survey customers and say, can you tell me the timescales? You don't want to go through like that. We have to get certain information in order for us to have impact on it or make a decision to leave it for now, move away, or to counter an objection handlers we need. So what typically happens if we don't have that information, we can observe and see a few of the following problems. The first one is opportunities are being serviced and not driven, i.e., yeah, I'm waiting for them to get back to me. Yeah, there's this, there's that. And there's very little going on. Create a quote, something's happened, we got a thing, and it's going to potter on. There's no close. It just ends. So we're getting servicing salespeople and not people driving through things through the pipeline. I used to say that there are 1,000 things that can happen between now and receiving the order, and none of them are really good, right? There's only one good thing, and that's getting the order. There's like 999 other things that are terrible. So that's one of the things that's going to happen. The other thing that we see is that salespeople are going to feel frustrated, and they don't know how to do. So they start feeling like they're a failure, or they don't know how to proceed, and they feel stuck, and they get into bad places. And then the salespeople forecasts, they're now forecasting using feelings. They may use the sort of previous backtracking through their memory and dead reckoning and going, well, do you know what? I won that one. I feel good. That feels like that one. I feel good about it. Now we're forecasting on feelings, and that's not a great way. We want to forecast. That's art. That's not science. We want to try and put things on science and do some bits on that. Or at the end of it, if your opportunities are being serviced and not driven, if your salespeople are feeling frustrated, or you're getting bad forecasts, you fire them or they fire you. And that's what happens at the end of it. So we know we've got this kind of problem where we need to get the correct information and try and control these deals and understand what's going on. I think we get the general process for doing this. So the way that I've always done this is using a program called Strongman. And there are lots of programs like this, and you can pick the one you want. But generally, having some form of checklist, some form of process that you can follow through, that you want to use and do it in whatever way you want to work with. This one works for me. I'm sure there are others. Knock yourselves out. Have one. This enables me to assess deals personally, or as a sales manager or leader, or even as an external consultant coming to help with training, to understand what's not happening, what's stuck, right? That's what I'm doing it with. So this is something created by a guy called Eddie Val at the BWD Partnership, and he's created a book on this. I've used this process since I met Eddie for the first time in March of 2000. And the first time I met Eddie, I didn't like him and I didn't like this because I knew what I was doing. I was 3 months into sales and probably 23 or something. I knew the world. 22, I can't remember. I was very young. Had hair, same color. But anyway, all the way through, I was pretty against this until I started working out that this was paying for rooms of my house, right? I was just getting better cars and better things because I was winning more. So this is Eddie. Right? So it's Ed. He writes his book as Ed. He's on LinkedIn as Ed. I call him Eddie. I hope he doesn't think I'm rude. I've asked him before. He said it was fine. So this is Eddie. And Eddie wrote this book called Solution Selling, The Strongman Process. And this isn't on Amazon. He fell out with Amazon because they were taking too much money. But you can contact him. And I would like you to go and LinkedIn with Eddie and connect to him. And he will sell you the book if you want. It's very, very good. What he isn't is he isn't Eddie Hall. And this gets a bit confusing because Eddie Hall is a strong man who wrote a book called Strong Man. And they will come up if you search Eddie Val Strongman, because for Wow, or Val as it is pronounced, and Hall look the same. And he's a strong man. So that's a bit confusing. Now, Eddie Hall is stronger than Eddie Val, apart from in the handshake, because Eddie Val is your classical 1980s proper squeeze your hand handshaker. So that's what we got here. All credit to Eddie. Please connect to him if you need some help with particular things. Eddie's great. We also, as I said, use Strongman under license from Eddie. So what is it? It's basically just an acronym with a series of questions that I will need to know as the sales leader, or I will need to know as the salesperson. And I'm going to make all of my questions to my prospects about this so I can fill in this information and I can start to understand what's missing. So it's, again, there's nothing complicated because the world is full of, oh yeah, we do that, James. You do, but that's absolutely fine. We need to put in a process and repeat and repeat and repeat. And for salespeople that aren't using processes, they are using processes in their head. They just haven't written it down or have an ability to teach it to anyone else. So they're basically following the process anyway. But we all know there needs to be timescales. We all know people have options. We all know there's some point where there's some authority involved. It's pretty standard stuff. But in the way that Eddie's put it together, I like it, and it makes it very easy for me to work with. Each one of these is basically a series of questions that we're going to look at to work out what we're doing. What they are not are the questions for the client. And I had a sales rep do this before, just going, do you like the solution we are discussing and developing? That's not for them. That's for you to fill in. You're going to ask questions using your own garnish, if you like, as Eddie would call it, in order to get that information. So we're going to look at this and go through, and it's going to tell us, okay, do we have a problem because the solution's wrong? Do we have a problem because the options are wrong? We don't understand what's going on. We're going to look through each of these things. Now, of course, this is a process. There's a whole training course behind this, and there is a little bit of it which is, I hope this is useful, and we're not going to do it all because this is how to do breaststroke. You do breaststroke like this, right? Now try it in a swimming pool you never swum before. This is why we do training courses. This is why we have things like coaching, because you need to do it in the water with a person telling you and explaining to it, watching them. So some of it we'll learn through this, but we'll go through it. Anyway, the first thing is we've got a solution and we're trying to get the solution for the customer. And the first thing is, does the customer actually agree with us on the solution? Are they prepared to talk to us? Are they equipped and ready to go? Have they actually told me, yeah, I think your thing would do it? If I phoned your customer up now and said, look, if you had to purchase us and it was sat on your bench and it was doing the job it was doing, would you be happy? Do you think it'll do everything you need it to do? Are you convinced yet? And is it the solution? Are they just not convinced in what you're selling? Is that the problem? Is it that bit? Now, underneath that, I want you to think that solution is made up of multiple things, right? There is the application. There's the stuff that they tell us about. Oh, it needs to be 35 millimeters long and have 469 hertz, all of those things. But there are needs for the organization, right? There's solutions. The solution for the company is that it integrates into our system. It speeds up what we're doing. Then there's personal needs. So let me tell you, I went to go and buy a car about 15 years ago, and I wanted a Jaguar XF. And my wife said, well, you should look, there's Ford Mondeo that made in the same factory at the time, Jaguar and Ford, made in the same factory, same wheelbase, same specs, save yourself £10,000, James. And she was completely correct on application and completely wrong on personal, because I wanted a Jaguar and it was all ego driven. And that's true. You tell you what, if I win the lottery, I can, it's a Ferrari. We're all in. We know it. So we know people are getting affected in different ways, and we have to ask our questions in relation to the solution to make sure we're fitting it all in. Look, you seem to be using PerkinElmer. You got a problem working with a company that's a little bit smaller. Are they sitting there going, well, actually, I really like PerkinElmer. Are you listening and hearing the right things in their language, right? Listening and writing, really important for Strongman. You have to write down the words they say as they say it and not the words you remember. They said they liked it. Did they say they liked it? Or did you think they liked it? So anyway, the biggest problem here in a lot of selling is salespeople have a tendency to obsess about statistics around products because that's where they think the battle is. They think that if they solve the application, which can be solved in many, many cases by lots of people, in subtle variations of differences with lockout specs, and which are effectively people saying they have a personal need which you're not meeting, and they're going to use the lockout specs to get what they want. So we have solutions. Then we have timescales. What are your timescales? Every time I meet with someone, they go, "Oh, when do you want it?" "Yesterday, James." Of course you do. the reality is that there are timescales, and they aren't just the timescales. So, what are your timescales? That's a ridiculous question. There's lots of things. Is there a decision timetable? And you could say, for example, look, last time I did one of these deals, they had to go through a board, and there had to be a board meeting. The board meeting, and he met every once a quarter, and it happened on the first of the quarter, and now it's halfway through. Do we have to wait to the next one? How are they being? The misunderstanding is many times is the salesperson thinks the prospect actually knows the information. The prospect actually has to think about it, and you can start to influence what they're doing because you're making them think about it and plan and give you the information to act. Is the implementation timetable in place? We sell a lot of stuff to OEM. And when I was working in a company I consult with, we sell a lot of stuff for OEM. There are times that those products go live. They keep on getting pushed, right? I could be talking to them about a product. They're not going to launch until 2026, right? And again, that might push. And when is it actually going to be in? How many units have to be in particular amounts of time? Timetables are quite complicated. There are compelling events. Look, if you're selling tires and my car hits a nail and the tire explodes, I've got a compelling event. If you're opening a building, if you're doing this is actually where selling sometimes to academia is really hard, because there really aren't very many compelling events, but you can try and drive them to. Have you agreed a decision timetable? So on a decision timetable, you've got the bit which is, you can say to a customer, do you have a timetable to make a decision? Or you can say, look, I assume you're going to spend the next 3 or 4 weeks talking to people about this, trying to get stuff together, getting your samples, doing whatever you're doing, getting ready for this. And then you're going to have some form of review meeting and stuff like that. And that's going to take you 3 or 4 weeks. So it's the 12th of kind of January. I'm assuming you're going to be making a decision at the end of this quarter. Am I off? Yes, no. Right? They're just logic. And every question you ask anyone, as long as it's reasonable and framed, will work. And is it too far or too near? Because the big thing is, I don't want to do every deal. And people go, oh no, James, I must never give up. I can win this one. No, you can't. You need to go and find other ones, and you need to deploy the amount of time, because you're all going to do 35, 50, 60 hours a week, whatever you guys want to do. You're all going to do that. It's just the effectiveness. Don't, flog dead horses, as they say. So next one is review. And again, what do we do in each case? We're trying to work out which one of these things is the reason we're doing it. Review is a really interesting one, and it's one that often catches out new people to sales. And it's basically, are they actually in review or research? If I go to a shopping mall and I spend the day with my wife going around looking in shops, I'm in research. Maybe I'll find something, maybe it's good. If I need jeans because my jeans have a hole in them, I go to the shop and I buy jeans. I am in and out. I am actively looking for jeans. Got to buy jeans. Jeans are what I need when I leave this mall. I'm out. And what you'll see is virtually every person you meet at a trade show is in research. They are thinking about, what can I do in the future? I've always wondered if I could make a thing out of that. Oh, that'd be great. That would fit Dave's project on that. That is what's happening. So the biggest problem that people get caught out on is, we talk to someone at a trade show, or someone has an idea and there isn't really a project there. And we commit resources and time, and we've basically wasted what we're doing. But for salespeople, because someone is willing to talk to us in the time of a famine or with this, we'll do anything. We'll get overexcited and commit stuff to stuff that wasn't real. But we felt that we were good citizens. And the good citizen feeling is where most people fail in sales. Right? They go too far to kind of help someone. It's like, no, ruthlessness. I'm sorry, you're not buying them on. I'll talk to you later on. I'm not going to be rude. I'm busy. So is there a reason for the review? What made it happen? Again, well, look, I tell you what, the car's got 3 wheels. It used to have 4. Pretty good reason for a review. Is it sincere? Yeah, he sat here with oil on his hands from his dirty tires that he's taken off, right? Has the project allocated time for review? Look, if people aren't giving you time for meetings, and they're buying stuff, and you need more information, they won't give you more information. They won't let you visit. It doesn't sound like a pretty good review to me. Something's wrong, right? And the prospect's expectation, like, did they actually say, yeah, look, I'm trying to buy something? Now, you can go through these things. And again, it is your job to think of the garnish and the questions that you will ask them. Options. So we keep this, and I'll talk about this later on. We have this in the CRM. So we've already had it in the CRMs. And the reason we have it in the CRM is so that you can document it. And when we talk about it as a deal together as teams, we kind of a shared language. And the biggest mistake everyone makes is the minute we put in a box for options, we get competitor A, competitor B. Even if we have no idea that they're talking to competitor A and competitor B. But people just go, well, if they're not buying me, they must buy a competitor A or competitor B. No, it's not true. What options are available to this person? Are they committed to change? Are they seeing the competition? You don't go, are you seeing the competition? You go, look, what else have you looked at for this? What's your plan to find the other information? Have you tried using other technology or other solutions? What are you thinking about for this? It's kind of a reasonable way. And your job is for your sale to work out the questions that work and feel comfortable with the target people you're doing. If you want help, there is a world of people out there that will help you, including myself. Does the competition have an overwhelming advantage? And remember, it has to be an overwhelming advantage. A lockout spec that has this particular mode, basically you're uncovering the truth, which is they have personal needs and they don't want to tell you because application-wise your product does it, but they have something fiddly they want to do themselves. Next up, what happens? 9 times out of 10, you lose it to apathy. Nothing happens. The buyer goes, I'm going to do nothing, or I'm going to go in research and review. If I'm in research and review, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to buy your solution, the competitors. I might upgrade what I got, or I'll do something else entirely different. Right? Most of the time, I used to lose to completely irrelevant items. It's just the money went somewhere else. That was more of a pressing thing. As a salesperson, I qualify in or qualify out. No, James, I can't lose this. No, you've got to. Sometimes you're talking to people. And again, let's not confuse business development with selling. In business development, there is a whole different world of ways that we want to take deals that are nowhere and get them to grow. But in a sales process environment where I've got quotas to hit, quarterly, monthly, weekly, whatever it is, yearly, I've got to be ruthless on my qualify in, qualify out. And if I'm qualifying in, I quote, I set up a meeting, and then really I'm seriously going for this. I'm going to spend the company money. I'm going to spend the money on flights. I'm going to spend the money on stuff. I'm going to ask people to get into meetings with me. I'm going to take in the boss. I'm going to take the apps guy. All of that stuff comes because I've made a proper decision to qualify in and spend the company cash. So you got different options in here, right? So what else we got? Negotiation. People think negotiation is something about price. Price is definitely an element to it. But, you negotiate with people. Can I come at 10? What about 10:30? We'll put it on this bench. No, let's put it on that bench. Let's go for lunch at 12. No, 12:30. You're constantly negotiating with people to get where you're at and to make it around what you're doing. But the biggest problem with negotiation has a tendency of the fact that salespeople try to introduce it very, very early. And there are people like me that don't want to negotiate. I hate this concept of going to, like my wife said, oh, why don't we go to Marrakesh? I'm like, oh, I don't want to go anywhere we have to barter. I just want to know the price. And it is too important for me to worry about the price relative to a competitor. I just want the right thing for the company, right? That's where I'm at. And really high authority managers are pretty similar. That's the price. Do it properly. I will hold you account. I'm not going to want for discount. I'm not going to want a wiggle room. I want the right answer. But a lot of the time, people go in and they start negotiating on price early, or they start negotiating the specs before the decision's been made. A friend of mine years ago went around a house and he said, oh, yeah, it's really good parking. It's really near the train station, quite close to her work. And and I said, you bought it. He went, what do you mean I bought it? And I said, well, look, you just got the transaction to do. You, in your head, you've bought it. You're moving on. But this bit of negotiation is really like, are you right at the end of this? Are we going to trade? How are we going to do this? And again, these are the questions. If you're negotiating, is that negotiation in your sale again, and your giant tick stuff off and what's going on with this deal? If you're negotiating, are you negotiating because they're trying to fit you in, or because they're trying to do the first round of qualify out, right? Or are you just doing it wrong and early, and you're going to get, I negotiated with the postdoc and the PI came back, and then the purchasing people came in. Oh, no, where am I at? You're negotiating multiple times and losing cash. And that's not the problem. Again, understand where it is in the deal. Galvanize. So now we're hitting the end. So most of you probably know MAN, but anyway, galvanize is interesting. This is to cause someone to take action, especially by shocking them or exciting them. When you're winning a deal when that person is acting for you. I'll update the proposal and put the things we've talked about in, make that change for you. I'll make it install for that. I'll book them and do that. Can you go and talk to Sally in purchasing and ask her what's needed? And then we'll talk together at 10. Does that make sense to you? You're working together as a team to win this thing. You know, it amazes me when we do things like, you know, look, I want 5% because it makes it easier to fly through. If you want 5%, you want to go through, right? I want this, this, and this. How about that? We'll come back, meet together on Tuesday and talk about it. These things, if you're truly getting a nice deal, if you're getting this galvanization and you feel like you're working together, then there's a very high probability the deal is going to go through. If you feel like you are the minority party in what is going on, you're either selling a commodity and they just don't care, or you're not in this deal at all and you're being second or third quoted. And it's like, yeah, give him a thing. I think Dave liked him. I really prefer the Ferrari or the Perkin-Elmer option or whatever. So you're in that kind of world where, you know, it's not going well. Whereas if the buyer and the team involved in it are trading information and it's all going freely and you're doing stuff for each other and they're getting them to kind of work together, it's all going to sound like it's really starting to happen correctly. Money, okay, budgets are a pretty easy one. You know, are the costs within budgets? Is it realistic? Am I more expensive than my competitor? And again, you can, you know, there are systems out there to find out how much pretty much everything is in the world. You can look at purchasing records, particularly public ones. All the things change when you're in a deal. People discount things, give away things. So somewhat that happens. But overall, you've got to work out, can you answer these questions? And a lot of the time, salespeople go, yeah, they said they liked it. No, I didn't ask that. Have you ever asked them whether or not this fits in the budget and they're prepared to spend this amount of money? And this is what we have to control with the salespeople a lot of the time, because they go, yeah, I said, is it in budget? And they said, yeah. Okay, well, how much is the budget? I didn't ask that. You know, if they've got any spare in the budget, what's going on? Do they have much money for the more expensive, better option from our competitors? What are we doing? So again, this is another check sheet of going, have we got these things? Are we going through it? Are we all right on this? Can they ever spend the money? Now, you might be sitting here going, well, some of these questions seem pretty direct. And again, this is the garnish element. This is working it out. And if you ask questions in the right order, and if you ask them at the right time, and they sound reasonable, and you say them to each other, you are not going to offend anyone. So a lot of people get very worried about, oh, well, I can't ask that. I can't ask them if they've got the right money, because we don't talk about money in my culture. Yeah, we do. You don't ask them how much they earn. I'm not going to ask them how much they earn. You can ask them, look, have you guys put any money aside for this, or is this stuff you've got to fix and we've got to find the money? Sounds pretty reasonable. So money is one thing. Authority is another area, particularly with young reps, where anybody willing to talk to them is exciting. And it's the bit of, am I talking to the decision makers? Can I talk to the decision makers? Do the decision makers need to know there's a decision to be made? Even if you get, and you're working with someone junior, you say, look, can I shake the hand of the guy? That would just help me. That would make me feel more comfortable. Or you can say, look, it's part of our process that we do that. We have to meet the people that sign off. It's part of the way that we work in our sales process. Years ago, we used to make training course manuals, and we do training courses for a software company I work with. This is about 2003. And the lovely lady, Jo Rogers, who ran our office, Jo had to print them out with a color printer, and she hated it, and she wanted a faster printer. And she said, can I have a faster printer? And I said, no, we can't afford it. We're in a situation, we've got to get orders in, Jo. This is a problem we've got. We've got a spending freeze. I really want to just get the month done. Anyway, Jo said, well, we can get these things printed fast. I said, no, don't want to get them printed faster. I don't want the quality better. They're fine as they are. I know it's a pain, but your time's already paid for, right? We've already paid for you. And then I came in one morning, and there was a salesperson setting up a high-speed, large format, high processing printer system. I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, Jo's been speaking to me. She wants to get this new thing. And I said, well, where are you going? She said, well, I thought you'd seen it. You know, you think it's great and we buy it. And I went, I'm really sorry, mate. You're going to have to go. Because I had the authority and I'm going to block it. And so many times the decision makers, the people that sign it off, don't know, and you're being played up the chain. So again, of course, we know there must be a decision maker. And it's obvious. We all know, you know, look, let me ask you a question. In you're a business, say I'm doing a deal with your business. Look, in your business, when was the last time you paid for a consultant? How did you pay for the consultant? How was it set up? Did it have to flow through HR? Did you get it signed off? How many people in your business needed to sign it off? Were there any local laws connected to it? They're all reasonable. When was the last time, so help me out here. Look, last time you spent $500,000 on a piece of equipment, how did that work? How involved was it? Oh, you didn't do it. Oh, do you know when he did? Can we go talk to him? Like, seriously, it might save us like several weeks of mucking about if me and you just go work it out later on. They're all reasonable things. So authority is an important thing that we have to get to. We don't want to go, look, mate, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your boss. Come on. That's not what we're going to do. But we have to get into the process of we talk to the people know we got to sign this off. It's like if you sell OEM equipment and you're talking to the engineer, and at no point have you talked to purchasing. You're from where? What company? Do we have an agreement with you? Where do you manufacture? How does that, God, these things have to be done. Authority is critical. Now, the final one here is needs. And needs sort of come across looking a little bit like solutions. But needs really have a bit of a difference. These are things that we discover as salespeople about the deal. And it's whether or not there is a solution that they're asking for, right? Maybe they say, well, I want 3 microns. And you go, well, actually, you could do with 2. That'll be fine. Look, it's not part of your needs. We can play around with that. We can work around with that. But really, it's saying, do I truly understand actually what they need to get done? And really, really critically, if they never bought anything at all, what would happen? Really, I mean, this is the basic thing. If they just went, oh, I really, really want that. Look, I can tell you the solution exactly for the sports car I want. I can tell you, look, I want it like this. I'm really tight, so I want one with. I probably wouldn't want one because the tires would be too expensive, right? But there is this point of I can give you the specs of it. I don't have the need. I mean, look, the road, it probably won't get down the bump outside the driveway. Probably won't get down there. There's no need for it. It's a luxury item. It's exactly that. So overall, we've really got to go, look, why do you, and the amount of deals I see salespeople lose because there was an interest, but no need, no physical, this has to happen. And again, the solution is driven by the customer. The needs are identified by the salesperson. So when you're going to use this, so the first thing here really is going to be, just check I'm not disconnected. Don't seem to have any crazy messages saying you're out, so we're good. So when are we going to use this? The first thing is I'm a salesperson. I hold myself to account. Okay, I win or lose. I want to know what's going on in my deal. I use it to analyze my own deals. And, the older I get, the more I just do this on paper. But in many cases, when I'm running sales teams and we're putting this together, we put this into the CRM system. And you can kind of see here the little eyes, which are the tooltips. And that just has it in there to remind you what the questions are. And again, this is how you do breaststroke. And the fact that salespeople sort of go, options, yeah, competitor A, negotiation, not yet. And it's like, no, please try and dig a little bit deeper into these questions. And let's look at your opportunities and let's establish what's going wrong with them. And once we got wrong with them, what are the questions that we need to ask to get that information? Right? The biggest thing for me, and the largest thing I would say is, if you had 3 salespeople, print out 5 of their opportunities that they have in their CRMs, just screen grab and print them out and send them to a pub, a bar, to a restaurant, to a coffee shop, and get them to ask each other questions about the opportunities. Simply the act of analyzing, even in a group without a sales leader, simply the act of looking at the opportunities in a group way will share the experience, and they will have great sport in trying to point out and quiz each other about what's missing, as if each of them was in charge. So group forecasting reviews, analysis of what's going on. If you're running a forecast and you're going, something's not right, it's not connecting, most of the time it's because of a language problem and a documentation of what's happening in the sale problem, which is leading people to believe and use their gut instincts. The other thing is, and this is where I think, Eddie does a really good job, is he obviously created the process. He has it in how he's going to plan out the sale. How is he going to work through the sale? Now, a lot of us as salespeople with technical things, we're going to talk very technically first, and we're going to add some of these bits in later on because it's almost like we're feeling a little bit dirty about what we're doing. In the old days, we just used to write salesperson on our business cards. And I was like, look, it's obvious. I'm really sorry. I got asked the questions. It's kind of how I get paid. But as we get older, we start giving people funny titles and changing what they do and call them account managers or business development reps or whatever. But to a certain degree, you're going to work out how you're going to plan your sale using key application information and using things like the strongman review of the opportunity. Strongman works for every solution sale. It's not, if you're selling commodities or your people are perceiving your products as commodities, which is often a large issue, if you're doing that, then maybe this wasn't work for you. I think this really works if you're going in and trying to do a consultative sale. The other thing you're going to need in a consultative sale is the bit that changes each time, which is key application information. If you're selling a confocal microscope or a scanning system or a milling machine or an inspection, whatever you're selling, that's going to change because the parameters of what the customer is viewing and their application, their job to be done changes. So this is when we would use the strongman method. Now, the kind of bits that, how does this fit into what we do? And, if you ever wanted to talk to us about these things, Strongman, we do opportunity development training with people. We do coaching for people to get them on. Says, well, that's annoying. The bullet points are somewhat offset there. That's must have pressed the wrong button when I was pressing save. Anyway, Sales Disc is a program we use we use it to help salespeople get in to understand what they're doing completely fresh. So if they've never done sales before or they're converting from application roles, we use the Sales Disc. We also use Sales Disc with sales managers to understand how they can change their go-to-market. We also have business development marketing. If you haven't seen that webinar, you can go back through LinkedIn and register, or just send me a message and we'll talk to you about how do salespeople use marketing tools to do business development. So there's some bits on that as well. And we do projects for people with that. So what have we got coming next? And this link. So one of the things is we have Dan. Dan has a process which is basically Six Sigma-esque. It is semi-mathematical, but you don't have to be clever. But it's basically, I've got a problem. It's how do I improve a process? So let's just say, why does it take 8 weeks for a product to leave our factory? And is it a problem moving between the order, it being accepted? How many steps are being involved? What's got it? I'm modeling and working out how to do the processes. The next one I'm doing with Scott is all about how to ensure you're getting the key application information every time, how you're logging it for your company so you can understand it, and how you can work out with it. The improvement process stuff is really good for product managers, business leaders, anyone in operations. So if you know anyone in that area, please tell them about this and sign it up. The KI is really good for salespeople, sales leaders, business leaders or product managers, people who are trying to collect information and understand what's going on without having to record the inside leg measurement every time you have a conversation with people. Just get the basics across. So there we are. It's 3:37. I went probably a bit quickly, but hopefully you guys can have a look at that later on. I am now on for any questions. You guys are completely free to contact me through LinkedIn and ask me separate questions later on. But hopefully that was enough for you to get a bit of an idea about Strongman, understanding that the more we know about a deal, the more we can understand that deal, the more we can use that information. And we're simply asking ourselves questions in the Strongman format, but we need to ask them subtler and nicer and more garnishy questions. So that's a nice way of doing it. Anyway, my 15 seconds should be up in a minute. And if you guys want to go and sneak off for an early weekend, I'm not going to tell anyone. It's 3:38 here. I might dive off and go back home myself. But if you've got any questions, or you just want to say you're still there, or you enjoyed it, or you didn't enjoy it and you're really annoyed with me, you can do that. So you've got a 15-second lag. And other than that, I'll stay on for a minute and wait for any questions. After that bit of waiting for the 15 seconds. Also, people have to stop checking their phones. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. That's great. We're coming in with this. Any others? Perfect. Thank you, LinkedIn user. Don't know who you are. I assume you are LinkedIn. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But all right. Again, I'm going to hold it out for 30 seconds. And anybody with any questions, let me know or contact me directly. There's Angela. Hello, Angela. Always lovely to have you on, Angela. So there we are. I hope it's all right in Texas. I know, obviously sometimes it's sunny and lovely. And what the thing is, always stormy when I go there. It's my problem. I cause it, I think. All right, we are done. 40 minutes in. Thank you very much for your time. Please register for the next ones. If you liked it, say you liked it. Stick it on. Tell a friend. If you didn't like it, keep it quiet. Don't mention it. It's all fine. Done. Have a lovely. Do we get a PDF? You get a recorded. I probably could send a PDF if someone wants to connect me directly on it. It is copyrighted, so no one can use it without doing it. But anyway, there's stuff on that. Other than that, it's actually cold. It's going down to the 20s tonight. That is cold for Texas. We're in the freezing type territory. Anyway, if you need anything, contact me through LinkedIn. Lovely to have you here. Have great weekends, guys. First one back after the holidays, proper full working week. We're all a bit tired. See you later. Thanks very much, guys. Bye now.